All right, welcome back to the Big Show. Tierrai Hall. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, we've got a very special guest. No, Tierrai, I'm happy Bricen's come on because there's been so much talk about shipping and tariffs impacting things and so on. So I'm hopeful that today, audience, your questions can be answered, but also Mailboxes is doing some fun things, some really cool things to empower our community. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to our good friend, Bricen Hakeman. Oh, Bricen the Gazelle.
Hakeman. Oh, yes. Yeah, Gazelle.
Right, two of us,
No, I love that. I was like, no way.
I gotta tell you guys, my cheeks are a little bit sore because I've been smiling. So Friday Fun Day coming to life, and there's a little bit of Fight Day in there as well, So I've really enjoyed it thus far. Good job.
I love it. I gotta ask you though, how'd you get the nickname?
So I was in wrestling, my entire younger career, and so you run on a mat, but like it's usually a small room, so you're running in circles. But I run horrible. Like my arms are swinging the whole time, but my legs are only moving at a certain pace. So people say I look like a gazelle. So. Yeah, I'm not tall, you know what I mean? I'm 5'9", so I'm not 6'2". That's not where the Gazelle came from. I guess I kind of leap, so.
At least you have a more endearing nickname than they gave me. So.
I won't say it on air, Jamel. I won't say it on air. I'll save you that. I think you were brave for saying it, but bonsai tree needs a little love, so make sure you take care of that after the show. Huh?
Yeah, thank you, brother. I don't know what I did wrong outside of forgetting to have someone take care of it when I wasn't home.
It happens. I don't have a green thumb either. So
thank you, Bryce. We appreciate it.
Bricen's too kind. I think Bricen's taking it very easy on you.
One person has to, Tierrai.
You know what? Really quickly, look at what Master Edmund Johnson says. He says you have disgraced your ancestors with that bonsai. Do you know how hilarious that is?
Happy. She wouldn't be happy. But let's jump into the conversation, Bricen. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for doing this. As stated prior to you coming on, people always, on these lists on social media, they have something to say about shipping. And I'm just like, they obviously haven't signed up for Mailboxes in 2-3 years of membership. But just on the surface level, before we get into the meat of the conversation, give people tips about the do's and don'ts of shipping to Bermuda when it comes to Mailboxes.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to shipping to Bermuda. I think the biggest tip that I can give, obviously I'm biased here, but the biggest tip that I can give viewers is be very selective in the agent that you're choosing. A lot of times we see on social media, we hear from our clients who have tried, one of our competitors, and we hear in the community, oh, customs this or oh, customs that, and it's so hard to ship here. And, Mailbox's perspective of that is that it's actually not that difficult to ship here. You have to have a really good agent who is going to be an advocate for you when they're dealing with customs. And what we found the Mailboxes in our competitive advantage in the market is that when you have, a really good proprietary system that's going to declare your goods properly for the importer, you're delivering customs exactly what they're asking for. And, I have to take a second to give a shout out to customs, Jamel, because they are working long and hard over there to make sure clearance is happening. And, their role in the island is to facilitate legitimate trade and keep our borders safe. Mm-hmm. And so, as difficult as they can be if you select the wrong agent, if you're working with the right agent who's giving customs exactly what they need to clear your shipment, you're going to have a much better experience as you ship to the island. So the first thing is pick the right agent. The second thing is make sure you have your invoices for Mailboxes. As soon as you make that purchase, if you can upload your system to our dashboard right away, we start to work those documents right away. And so most of the time, as soon as you upload your invoice, we've already processed the data on there within, an hour or so. And it allows us to import your shipment to Bermuda. And as quick as, we're doing shipments as quick as 36 hours in some cases, Jamel. And so that is one of the tips that I would give people. From a don't perspective, Mailboxes doesn't sell ourselves on being the cheapest, right? We are not the cheapest brand out there. There's certainly other brands that are cheaper, but this is one of those scenarios where you get what you pay for. So what I would say as a don't is don't expect that you're going to go pay the cheapest price to import something to Bermuda and get the fastest service. And that's one of the challenges, and we completely understand, right? And everyone's cost conscious, and we're going to talk about tariffs and the impacts that it has on the consumer here in just a moment. But if you have a cheaper a cheaper service provider, chances are it's going to take you a little bit longer to get those items here to the island, and that's what it is. So.
And you mentioned it just now, and I'm glad you touched on customs and invoices, because I'm going to be honest, and I believe in accountability, so I'm going to say this, but the last time we shipped some stuff to Bermuda for the election night coverage, I was upset at customs because of my own doing, right? But it's what we do, right? It's what we do. We think everything's going to go smooth, and then we remember, oh, we forgot to do something. So I'm glad that you mentioned that if we just followed some simple protocols, things would be a lot easier. But let's talk about tariffs. There's been a bit of a concern among, within the political climate that tariffs are going to impact things being shipped to Bermuda and pricing and the like. What can you say in your position to ease people's concerns about the political climate, shipping and tariffs?
Yeah, so the first part to your question there, Jamel, is I have to address the elephant in the room, and the fact that it is scary. And there's no doubt you hear the president of the United States, and I'm American, but you hear the president of the United States saying, hey, we're going to throw 50% tariffs on Canada, 25% tariffs on Mexico, 100% on China. And he's throwing all these big numbers out. And for us as an island community, you're looking and saying like, oh my gosh, like it's already expensive to live here in Bermuda. And how do you now absorb another 25 to 50%? So I have to, say right up front, it is a scary subject. And the second part to that, though, is I'll be a perpetual optimist here today, and that's generally how I view trade as a whole. While tariffs are going to definitely increase the cost of inputs to goods being manufactured and goods being imported to the U.S. and stocked for inventory, while that's undoubtedly going to happen, what you're starting to see in the marketplace is that fuel costs are going down, transportation costs as a whole are going down. You're seeing lesser demand from the market and, supply and demand. So as demand goes down, prices will go down to address that accordingly. So although tariffs are definitely going to increase the price, what I'm looking at and monitoring is, will the input costs of getting those goods to the U.S., will those go down in a very equal rate? And if so, then I hope the impact, and what I think the impact will be, is minimal to net neutral. And so that's kind of my view on it. And all I tell our clients is, be conscious of what you're buying. Look for those opportunities with discounts and sales if those are out there. But I think the short-term pain is going to be just something to watch until those prices and those inputs come down while the tariffs are going into place. Until that balance comes out, I think there'll be a little bit of short-term pain, but it's just something to watch. And I think at the end of the day, we'll be okay.
You just turned a negative into a positive in the most incredible way. I felt that okay, yeah, the political stuff, yes, but this is what's happening on the other side, so we can hopefully balance it. I like the way you did that. But in saying that, I want to know from the audience, how many of you actually have Mailboxes membership? Yes or no? Just let us know, yes or no, whether or not you have Mailbox membership. I want to revisit the customs conversation because I think there's so much that's said about shipping to Bermuda and customs being a problem, right? You mentioned have your invoices prepared. Is it a CAPS ID that people now have to submit?
Yep. Yeah, so it's a great question. So you have your CAPS ID, which you'll get once in a lifetime. You can go to the Bermuda government website, or if you go to the sign-up page, mailboxes.bm/the daily hour, there'll be a question that we actually ask that says, do you have a CAPS ID? And if you select no, it will link you to the CAPS ID website where you can apply for it. So for anyone new to the island or who's not been involved in trade before, that's where you go to apply. You'll get a CAPS ID once in your life, and that's assigned to you. And then for those of you who also have a CAPS ID already, some of the things that we're seeing today, Jamel, is really twofold. One, make sure you're updating your CAPS ID with the relevant information. We see a lot of times where someone says, oh, my CAPS ID information is this, and they update it once, 10 years ago, but they've moved 3 times since then. And so when we go to make a declaration to Bermuda Customs is saying, hey, that address does not match that address, and where's the disparity? And so that is on the consumer. That's how you can make sure you get your goods here fast is, go in, do a little bit of admin. I know it's a pain, but do a little bit of admin, make sure you're updating customs and CAPS with your correct address on file. So that's the first part. And the second part we're seeing a trend right now is that, consumers really need to be conscious when they're importing goods for their business, when they're importing goods for their personal use. And you should have caps IDs for both of those. And so that's another pro tip I would say is if you're buying for your business, make sure you order it under your business name, under your business caps ID. Make sure you do that and separate all your personal orders, because if you try to blend those two together, it does get a little bit messy, and you do unfortunately see some delays.
Tierrai, before you jump in, audience, do us a favor. Share this conversation with your friends and in those, I never say this, but in those lists, because Bricen is sharing information that is often taken to social media and with such disdain or anger about shipping in Bermuda. And I think he's literally answering so many questions today. And I hope that you all can share this information with people who ship. But I did ask real quickly, Tierrai, before we transition, did ask the audience, do you have mailbox membership? We've got Traveling Trotty said yes. We've got J Dog said yes. Xena Trot says yes. Teresa Marie said yes. Manuela Jones said yes. Shawnette Bell said yes. Lynette Warner says yes. Makita Lee said yes. Haven't used it though, so we're working on you. We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips says me. I'm a member of Mailboxes because of the relationship with TDH. Michelle White says yeah. Headley and Swan says, Head says, since my inception with Mailboxes via the Daily Hour, the customer service has been extremely patient with me and definitely delicious. I will never ever leave Mailboxes. You guys rock.
Hey.
We've got Suzanne Ingham says, yes, I've been a member for almost 2 years because of TDH. Nicole Walker says, yes, one on TDH. And then we have one node. Polly Rich, what do we have to do?
He's convinced now. After all those comments, Polly Rich is convinced, I'm sure.
Well, we're going to transition in. You're going to want to jump on with Mailboxes even more, right, Tierrai?
Yeah. So let's talk about something fun, digital art contest at Mailboxes. I was really shocked when I saw this because digital art contests aren't something that I expected to see from a shipping company. How does this creative and inclusive contest, because it includes students in Bermuda, but also students abroad, I think you can talk to our government about that. How does that fit into the Mailboxes model brand?
Yeah, but before I go into that, if I could just really, to all those clients out there, like, we love you. We really do love you. We keep it fun at Mailboxes. We like to have that light, engaging, environment and culture, but we really rely on you and we just appreciate the loyalty so much. So thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart and the team's heart. I give a big love out to you all. So thank you. And then Tierrai, switching over to your question. So we started the whole package art scholarship last year. So this is actually our second annual art scholarship. Last year, we gave away $4,000 in scholarship funds. This year, we're giving away $5,000 in scholarship funds. And the difference of what we did this year as well is, as you've already mentioned, is we've opened up the students that can participate. And when we first kicked it off, it was 11 years old all the way up to 18 years old. And this year, it's 11 years old all the way up to 22 years old. And so what we wanted to do, sure, we can pay a marketing company, locally to build and design these different arts. But I'm not quite sure if we just go out and buy that service, it really brings the community in. And when I look at what Mailboxes is, and yes, we are importing goods, and you're not necessarily buying local when you have to import goods, but you are buying from a local Bermudian business. And we employ 13 Bermudians. We employ Bermudians abroad over in the US. So we are very much a part of the island culture. And unfortunately, you won't be able to buy every single item here in Bermuda. And the next best thing you can do is buy from a Bermudian shipping company. And what we really wanted to do, Tierrai, was really bring the community into our packaging and our business. And so I wish I had a package here. I'm so sorry I don't. I do, actually. Let me pull this right here. I couldn't help myself. So I opened up my package this morning. But this is last year's art scholarship, right? So what we've done is we've put the packaging, the artwork on our packaging. And so it's really about just bringing the community and all the skills within our small island community locally for everyone to see and to highlight our local artists. But also those packages go global and from Bermuda to the rest of the world. And all we can do, going back to the Bermuda Commerce Report, is all we can do as a small local business is try to spread the word about Bermuda and bring a greater awareness to the island and what the island has to offer, And so that's what the campaign's all about. It's about giving back, but it's about showcasing some of the talents we have on this small island.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that. You also answered my next question, which is what inspired you to launch the contest in the first place. So I really love that. Very comprehensive. But Mailbox is clearly expanding beyond just shipping, first with business support, now with arts and education. Tell us about your bigger vision for Mailboxes. Where do you hope to take it next?
Yeah, so our vision is really to be the world's most trusted logistics partner. And so, I'm kind of diving into this a little bit deeper than we usually would. But I think, to put it simply, is the world is a massive place and we're in one small island at the moment. And so our aspirations are to grow outside of Bermuda. Before we can grow outside of Bermuda, we have to start locally and we have to really build our foundation here. And we've spent I've now been with the business 2 years. It feels like a lot longer. All the right reasons, but I've been with the business 2 years now. And so what we've done over the last 2 years is solidify our local business. We've really invested in upgrading our technology and our proprietary system. And so we are focused on delivering perfection every single package that our clients have. So that was first and foremost. We will look to expand hopefully here in the next 18 to 24 months. I can't share the full plans on that yet, but just know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. And the benefit that I see for the island is that whereas if we were to use America, for example, as a call center or something of those likes, is that we are local here in the island and we understand what it's like to ship international. If you call into an American call center or a Philippine call center, they may not know what international trade challenges you have, like, oh, customs isn't accepting my invoice. Well, what's that mean to someone in America? I'll tell you as an American, not much, right? Because there's an $800 de minimis, and it means that invoices don't make a world of a difference if the shipment is valued under $800. It's a relatively quick and easy clearing process. So there's a really, really big, exciting journey ahead of us. The team is laser focused on it. I'm laser focused on it. And Bermuda will always remain at the heart of what we do, but we have some big aspirations, and that is to be the world's most trusted logistics partner.
Indeed.
So let's talk about your partnership with Butterfield. How do you see this partnership between Mailboxes and Butterfield impacting Bermuda's business community, especially as the tourism season picks up soon?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we kicked off on what it would be Wednesday, the 12th. We kicked off a partnership with Butterfield and MasterCard. And so what this partnership does for the next 2 months, if you have your Butterfield business MasterCard, whether it's a MasterCard credit card or debit card, if you sign up to the website, so it's mailboxes.bm/grow your business, you log in, you just put your information in there, you update your payment method. And what you're going to do is for the next 2 months, you're going to get 20% off shipping. And so, what we're targeting right now, especially kind of all the scary things that are going on with this ship tax, the ship port taxes and Chinese ships being taxed in the US $1 million, basically tripling our cost of ocean containers. What we're trying to do at the same time, simultaneously, is give local businesses an avenue to start to ship things to the island, to get ready for that tourism season without having to worry and fret about what's going on with the docks and how's that Chinese ship levy, how is that going to cost their business. And so 20% off for shipping from now until May 12th. And all you have to do is have a Butterfield Business MasterCard credit or debit card, have that on file, and you get 20% off. And that's not just, up to $10. That's not up to $50. That's 20% off shipping. So if you ship in, $1,000 worth of shipping costs, you're going to get $200 off your shipping costs.
I mean, I don't know about you all, but I could definitely use the 20%. I'm a person who doesn't buy anything full price, so you're speaking my language here.
We want to help where we can, Jamel. And if I just could, right? Because Mailboxes, and we talk about growth, right? And so Mailboxes has historically been looked at as like a small parcel, courier, if you will. And if you get over a certain weight or a certain dimension, it's going to be really, really expensive. And yes, we do bill based on volumetric or actual weight, whichever is greater. But if you're ordering really large things like a mini fridge or something, an actual fridge, you can absolutely reach out to us inbound at mailboxes.bm or info@mailboxes.bm. And we can give you a spot rate quote on that to tell you what it's going to cost to bring that in via one of our partners, but we can bring that in for ocean rates. And so that is, that's something that's it's something we're trying to expand into. And as you get to that and you look at like, what does my business need or what do I personally need? that'll become a crucial part of it.
Indeed,
Yeah.
that Bryson. Well, audience, you've got a lot. And James Burgess and Tisha James Ford, who both said they don't have Mailboxes membership. You can go to mailboxes.bm/the daily hour to sign up right now. You've got 2 free years of Mailboxes membership. Bryson, before you head out, just how can people, beyond going to mailboxes.bm/the daily hour, how can people learn more about everything you have going on, not just shipping, but the scholarship and MasterCard? And where can they go for more information?
Yeah, the best place I always point people to is social media, believe it or not. I mean, we send out press releases all the time. Burr News has a whole article in there today around the MasterCard Butterfield Business MasterCard promo. So if you want to learn more about that specific promotion, it's on Burr News. We will be sending out an email to our business clients at the moment. We'll also be sending out like a temperature check email to our entire portfolio of clients to say, are you interested in business deals? And we will start to incorporate those communications to those businesses. So just communicate locally with us, look in the news, we send out everything. And then the third is just follow us on our social media, Instagram @mailboxes.bm, Facebook, Mailboxes. We're all over. And so not only will you get our most recent and up-to-date information on what we're doing in the business, but we try to make our social media super fun and super funny. So if you've not seen the cup match video, that's one of my favorite ones from last year. I won't tell you how we taped up an employee, but it was all PG. It was on a Friday, so we'll call it Friday Fun Day, and it gets a blessing. But outside of that, that's the best place, Jamel. And if you ever have questions, I am super accessible. I want to be accessible for our clients. B. Hakeman @mailboxes.bm. You can call into our store 292-6563, or just pop on in and ask for me. I'm around.
Before you head out, we got two questions from the audience real quickly. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, have you considered moving into the ocean freight space?
Yeah, so that's along some of what I just talked about. So if you have a large order, we can do some one-off stuff. We're not fully integrated to do ocean on a regular basis, but it's something that, we see there's an opportunity and we want to help the island out in that sense. So I would say if you have things like that, certainly reach out to us and we'll see how we can help you. And it's not a publicly offered service. It's more just how do we get in line and support our clients with their needs. And what we do want to be is that one-stop shop. And so whether you have a small parcel or something medium-sized or large, reach out, and we want you to have basically one address and work with one vendor, and we want to support in that sense. So,
all right, Michael Daniels asking, how do you deal with suppliers who do not provide invoices?
It's a tough answer for you, Mr. Daniels. The requirement to import to Bermuda is to have a proper invoice, and so what is deemed an improper invoice? We tend to be able to work with our clients and with customs to find that happy ground or that happy medium. Proofs of purchase will help you confirm the value. So sometimes we'll ask for bank statements to show that transaction or credit card statements to show that transaction and the value. And then separate from that, customs, if you cannot get an invoice, there's just no possible way to get an invoice. You could do a proof of purchase, or we can ask customs to do a physical inspection on it, and customs can assess a value. I try to steer clients away from that because you don't know what value actually you're going to get. And so if you paid $100 for something and customs has to assess a value, they may come back with a value that's 150. And so it's a little bit of gambling there. And that's not what I recommend, but those are some options where if you have something that's stuck in customs, with another courier, it generally doesn't happen with us. But in certain scenarios, we have customers who don't have invoices and can't get them. And we can request for an assessment of the value. But we try hard to avoid that.
Alrighty, Bryson, it's been great. Honestly, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the information, and we'll definitely be in touch with you soon. Have a wonderful weekend, my friend.
Thanks so much. Make sure you take care of that bonsai tree, okay, Jamel?
I will do. I'll send you pictures. Have a good one, buddy.
Friday, everyone.
All right, Bricen Hakeman, folks. If you've appreciated the discussion this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take our final break. You know what we should do? We should do a giveaway after this. We'll do a giveaway. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back after this break, and we'll do the daily play. And we'll see you in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. In the meantime, whatever platform you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, give us a like, love, follow, Share it. Make sure you subscribe and even join. Become a YouTube member. See you in a few.